Hi, Sean Kosofsky here, the Nonprofit Fixer, and I just wanted to do this video to talk through a blog post that exists on my website and do a video format for this. And everyone knows, if you've been following me for any time, that I am really focused on nonprofit leadership, specifically executive directors, CEOs, founders, and sometimes board chairs. The leaders of the organization are so critical. They can make or break the nonprofit. And specifically executive directors, because they are reporting to this board that is volunteer, they don't work there, it creates a really interesting dynamic. But the partnership between a board and an executive director is fundamental. If it doesn't work, the organization could actually be stunted or fail or even close. So we don't want that in our nonprofits. And so this blog post is really about the questions that executive directors need to be asking their boards in the first 30 days on the job. So whether you came into the executive director role from the board, from the outside, from up into the staff, no matter what the situation is, these are the questions you should be asking your board. So I'll be reading these a little bit from the blog post. Some of you are seeing this up above, some of you are seeing this on YouTube. First question that an executive director should be asking of its board is, how do you prefer to hear from me between board meetings? Some executive directors love sharing and sometimes even oversharing. They want to send out every great update. I'm a huge fan of whenever there's a big win, sharing it with the board. I never mind more communication than less communication. I have a good handle on my email inbox. I have a good communication system set up for myself, but some people they're overloaded and they don't want to see that much. So one of the great things is to ask your board, how do you want to hear from me in between meetings? Maybe a weekly update, a monthly update, just a quick little video, or maybe a little missive by email, but figure out what your board wants. It doesn't mean you have to do everything they say, but the fact that you're asking, the fact that you're listening indicates that you are wanting them to have a partnership with you. And you can arrive at your recommendations based on what you've learned on how you're going to communicate with the board. We all know that most boards will have one or two people on the board that need a little extra hand-holding because of whatever reason. Maybe they're a giant major donor or a founder, or maybe they're just difficult, or maybe they have a learning disability that requires that they consume information a different way. Whatever it is, we all have a board member or two who will want things a little bit differently. Maybe you can accommodate. A little bit more time consuming, but having that relationship with your board is really critical. Question 2. How hands-on do you want to be with the finances? So the board technically owns the nonprofit in my mind. They don't own it like you own property, but they are the owners of the nonprofit. They are responsible for passing a budget, tracking that budget, and then resourcing that budget. So of course they need to have a handle on the finances, and usually the treasurer of the board, who doesn't need to be a finance expert, but it helps if they know how to read financial statements and understand them. The treasurer or finance lead on your finance committee, and you should have a finance committee, should be monitoring the financials monthly or at least every quarter. The full board shouldn't necessarily be looking at a full set of financials every month. But you might want to ask your board if that's what they want. Sometimes the board has gone through something really difficult on finance and they want to make sure that they're doing extra due diligence. So with the right balance, you might want to ask your board, how hands-on do they want to be with the financials? And I can talk with any of you who become a client about ways I've done this really well that make it easy for the board and easy for the executive director. You also, you're going to hear my dog every now and then, ask board members about their needs. One of the things you're going to want to ask if you do a listening tour or early interviews when you come in as an executive director, ask them about their needs. Of what do you need for a board meeting to be a success? What do you need to make your board service easier? What do you need to make board service fun, interesting, and rewarding? Those are some good questions. And one of the questions I have in the blog post is, do you feel like you have what you need to succeed as a board member? I will say the single biggest complaint board members have all over the country every year is that they never got an orientation. That may seem like no big deal, but it is at an orientation where we learn the mission, the programs, the history. How do we culturally act in board meetings? Are we allowed to dissent? Do we just do whatever the founder says? There's all these really important questions. So because a lot of board members never got an orientation, they are going to have some things that they need that they never got, statistically speaking. Asking a board member, where do you feel underutilized? Do you have any talents or connections that aren't being cultivated? So someone might say, I actually really love fundraising, or I really love doing HR, or I really love doing graphic design. If there's a board member who has a talent or skill that they want to use more, find that out by asking them questions. Some people, because they come from finance, they're immediately shoved into a finance role. That might not be what they love to do. Get the right people in the right roles with these questions. Another question. What one thing would you like to see more of in your board experience and less of? Some of them might say less acrimony in our board meetings, less fighting. Some of them might say more training and fun and social time. But you'll never know until you ask. Keep a log of all these interviews and all these questions. You can do this just once, and then every time a new person comes on, you can ask them, or you can do this every year. What do you expect from me and our relationship? It's important to be asking these questions because board members like to be asked. But you don't have to do exactly everything that board members say, but they like being asked about these questions. What do you expect from me and our relationship? So some board members think that they can just assign you stuff and you'll do it. Like all 12 of them or 10 of them are your bosses. Some of them just want to be heard. Some of them just want to do the right thing and do due diligence on the board. So you just got to ask what they are expecting. You can also ask questions about how board meetings are working. What would make our board meetings more rewarding and productive? So this could be really tactical, like starting on time or ending on time, or you could ask board members, what could make the consent agenda or the regular agenda better? Do you want input on that? So these are all sorts of questions you could be asking board members in your first 30 days on the job. And then finally, what could the organization do better to help you be an even better ambassador and communicator about our organization and our mission? This is really important because it unlocks how hard they'll work and if something's holding them back. If a board member says, I really don't know what our programs are or our successes or our statistics or metrics, or I don't really know who you need me to introduce you to. So people really do need that kind of help. So by asking these questions, you can unlock a huge amount of support from your board. So I just wanted to give you those tips today in terms of like what an executive director should be asking of their board after they've been offered the job, after they're in the role and they've had a little bit of time to get their bearings. It's important to engage your board with these questions. Thanks, and if you like this video, subscribe down below and hit like.